back to Patriot Network TV. It's another great week in America, and we've got some great stories that we want to follow. Please go to patriotnetworktv.com, our website. We've got news stories there. We update 2 videos a week. On a daily basis, we're updating the headlines for you. So please make that, if you can't bookmark it as your homepage, make it a place that you go every day. We want to be your source for news stories. One of our most powerfully regarded stories that we have covered for you is the immigration law in Arizona, SB 1070. Following our passage of that law, our governor courageously signed that law and put it into effect. The federal government has fought us tooth and nail. State after state across the United States are involved in doing the same thing because the cost of illegal aliens is too much to bear. The U.S. federal government is systematically failing in its duty to enforce the borders. Now, I want to give you the definition of what a nation is. Number 1 of the 5 bullet points in the standard dictionary definition of a nation is this line: has space or territory which has internationally recognized boundaries, i.e. a border. If we don't have a border that we get to control, we're not a nation any longer. Now, part 2 of this is the fact we are a nation of laws, not of people. What is written into SB 1070, what's written into the Alabama law, what's written into the South Carolina law, what's written into the law in Pennsylvania, what's written into the law in Utah, is basically just restating 8 U.S.C. 1304, the U.S. code that deals with alien registration and has dealt with it since 1940. This is not new, it's not radical. And I want to quote for you directly from this. And by the way, don't take my word for it. Go to Google, hit in 8 U.S.C. 1304 and look at C, D, E, and F. In this section, and we'll just go to E, personal possession of registration or receipt card. Every alien 18 years of age or older shall at all times carry with him or her and have in his personal possession any certificate of alien registration. In other words, just like when I am driving my car, if a police officer stops me, I have to show my driver's license, I have to show my proof of registration, I have to show my proof of insurance. If I don't, it's a citation. How in the world can the U.S. federal government sue South Carolina, Alabama, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Utah, saying you can't enforce these laws? The problem is not that we in Arizona or our friends in Alabama or our friends in South Carolina or our friends in Pennsylvania can't enforce the law. The problem is the U.S. federal government isn't enforcing the law. The southern border of the United States with Mexico is, if we're to be a nation, if we're to have the definition of a nation, number 1 definition, enforceable border, internationally recognized. 80 miles south of the state capital of Arizona, there's a big, beautiful sign in the desert. We've shown this sign to you. And it's put there by the U.S. federal government, and it basically says, this is no man's land. We can't help you. Don't go out here. There are drug runners, and there are coyotes, human smugglers, and it is unsafe to go out here. In effect, the U.S. federal government has just moved the border north by 100 miles. That's not acceptable. South Carolina, let's get to the South Carolina story here. Now that we know exactly what 8 U.S.C. 1304 says and we know what the definition of a country is. South Carolina has passed a law. It was signed in, Act number 69, signed into effect by the first female and the first minority governor of the state of South Carolina. Her name is Nikki Haley. She's also a Republican. Nikki Haley is the daughter of legal immigrants to the United States. She says, and I quote, "As the daughter of legal immigrants who came to this country legally, I understand that no American value is more sacred than the rule of law." That's what Act number 69 is about. Nothing more, nothing less. If the feds were doing their job, we wouldn't have to. The heart of this is very, very simple. The Obama administration has refused, systematically refused, to enforce the border. And instead, they're using my tax money to sue me in Arizona, to sue my friends in Alabama, to sue my friends in South Carolina. This is the U.S. federal government attempting to dilute the vote of people who believe in the power of the law. The idea here is very simple. If you can bring in 30 million illegals, make them all wards of the federal government, you can get 30 million new Democrat voters. If that happens, Republicans will never win another presidential election. Are we a government of laws or are we a government of people? The border of the United States with Mexico either is real and enforceable and we control it, or we're no longer a nation. You have to ask yourself, why is it that President Obama and the Attorney General Holder will systematically sue Arizona, Alabama, South Carolina, and states that stand up and say we can no longer pay the outrageous expense of illegal aliens? In the state of Arizona, the estimates run from $5,000 to $7,500 per person per year for illegals. With a low number of 600,000 and a high number of 1 million, that means it costs the taxpayers of Arizona between $3 billion and $7.5 billion. Alabama figures about the same, South Carolina figures the same. When unemployment that is admitted to at 9.1%, real unemployment, as I was taught to calculate it in my freshman macroeconomics course at the University of Montana, real unemployment is closer to 16 or 17%. U6, unemployment, underemployment, long-term discouraged workers up at 25%. Why in the world should there be 500,000 to 1 million illegal aliens in the state of Arizona either collecting welfare or taking jobs from Americans when we have 16% real unemployment? And the people in South Carolina, Alabama, Pennsylvania, Utah feel exactly the same. They don't want their unemployment exacerbated by illegal aliens. I am telling you, and I want to end this just like we ended the first video on immigration. It's coming to your state. You may not think so, but it's coming to your state. When we passed SB 1070, 400,000 illegals left the state of Arizona. That's the estimate. Where did they go? Well, Miss Haley, the governor of South Carolina, says we can't afford this many people illegally in the state sucking up our resources. We can't afford it. The United States of America cannot afford illegal immigration. Illegal immigration is the hallmark of the Obama administration. God bless you. God bless the United States.